I mean, I guess I want to ask for like people in my age group, like what can people my age do, you know, if we're not protesting? Like,
Yeah.
what is the best way to
Well,
take action?
I think one thing that we need in general is to slow down a little bit, to slow down and to take time to learn. I think start with just learning our history. I think so many, I would be curious as to how many people that were a part of the protest even know our American history, our actual history.
Yeah.
Um, we've got some people who are also offering up some different suggestions as far as donating to different organizations. But
Yeah.
before you put your money is your energy, that's your currency. Before you put your money anywhere, know where it's actually going. Take the time to do that. I also would say to retract a little bit from social media and the collective thought, and actually sit with yourself and your own thoughts to look at, where do I fit into this? Do I ask yourself some really important questions?
Yeah.
Am I mean, I'll give you an example. I went to a private school that was predominantly white in South Carolina. I was maybe one of 5 African American students, like 5 Black kids that graduated in my class. And I look back on how much I wanted to be accepted by that community.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about American history. For those of you who are just joining us, we are actually just having a conversation about the unrest that's happening in Los Angeles and also all over the United States of America. It looks like you have tons of international fans and people that look up to you and love you. So
Yeah.
if you guys aren't aware, there's just been a really critical mass moment here in the United States where the racism that has been kind of under the surface for a very long time has now um, caused people to feel uneasy, and to be honest, I think that it's also combined with quarantine. You know, I think that people are isolated right now. People are feeling there's enormous amount of pressure of not, like, just wanting to be out in the world, and wanting to have purpose, and wanting to know that our lives have meaning. And I really respect that. But I really would say, before doing anything, oh my gosh, a ladybug just landed on my window.
Oh.
Yeah, that's really cool. Um, yeah, I would say that educate, 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 and have offline conversations. We're having this conversation online, to really bring people in, and honestly to hold people who might be feeling similarly. But having offline, genuine conversations, interracial conversations, not just conversations amongst yourselves, but making room for hard conversation, difficult conversation. Um, I think that's something that we can do. And then finding organizations and people that you can trust, you know?
Yeah, that was another thing it was such a flood of information all of a sudden that I was like, well, who do I, you know, what direction do I go in order to like help supporting certain foundations or pledges or petitions? Like there's so much right now that and not really anyone's taking the time to actually like, I actually this morning was like, I'm gonna read about each of these foundations and donation places and see what they're actually going to do with the money, because there was this sense of fear of like people just want to post something to like look like they're helping it. I mean, hell, I did. I was just like, I just want to help. I just want to help. And that fear and like anxiety sometimes does the opposite.
Absolutely. I mean, I felt the exact same way because I don't have anything on my feed. And like the last post that I posted was about donating to the Cameron Boyce Foundation, because I was friends with Cameron and it was just his birthday. And that's the last thing that I shared. And I've been feeling this enormous amount of guilt and, worry about whether there's going to be judgment about me being Black enough in this moment, whether people were going to look and say like, oh, you care about this, but you don't care about that. We need your voice here. and it's no one else's right to dictate to any other person how they respond. This is trauma. This is trauma, and inside of a global pandemic where
Yeah.
we are leading, us and Brazil and a couple of other places are, there's a lot of fear
Yeah.
that's happening, and so many things that are going on simultaneously. We have to constantly take care of our vessel so that we can continue to show up as the light. We have to be thoughtful and to be conscious, and to not shame ourselves. I don't need your shame. Like,
Yeah.
you can't act from a place of devastation, and you have a right to be devastated. Um, in your 23 years on the planet, you didn't expect to wake up one day and for this to be your reality. And yes, as a collective, I think that we are in a position to be able to make change, but we don't know how in the moment. Um, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I want to see what some people are saying and see if there's any.
I mean, if they have any questions,
Someone
that's
said,
more than welcome.
right. So someone said police brutality has always existed, but the Black community is the biggest victim because their lives are not seen as important as others. Yeah, I will say that. I will say globally that Black and Brown people definitely have experienced a lot of racism, and oppression. I will also say, though, that we as Americans make up, I think, 8% of the world's population.
Mm.
And as Black Americans, we make up about 13% of that 8%. And that's also very dangerous to say, but I think it's important for perspective for us to realize that we are part of a world. And in this moment, this is where our attention is, because people are brave and they're rising up and they're standing up and they're standing up for themselves and they're saying enough is enough. But people around the world have needed this level of passion as
Yeah.
well. Syria has needed our voices for a long time. Our planet has needed our voice for a long time. There's a lot to stand up for. And this is in no way to diminish or discredit or say that this is not absolutely a valid and valiant place for us to place our efforts. But I cannot be a global youth champion, and I cannot care about humanity and not be honest about whether I have been willing to look across the table and make sure that other people are okay. And in this moment, we are asking people to join us, and we're asking people to be with us. But we have to ask ourselves, do we place ourselves above other people because of what we've been through?
Mm.
And that is a very scary thing to say.
Yeah.
But
It's unconscious behavior that we're just like, we don't even want to look that way. Like, I read Untamed by Glennon Doyle. It was
yeah,
such
it's
a
on my list. I can't wait.
yeah, it's such a mind-opening book. And she, I mean, I can't necessarily recite what she was saying, but she was like, we have to understand that the way that our like brains have been programmed, we're like subconsciously racist, and we have to like own up to that in such a deep
Mm-hmm.
way. Like, and that's scary. That's really
Mm-hmm.
scary, but it's
And also
necessary.
our worth. Like, it's like there's subconscious racism, but then there's also a subconscious sense of unworthiness. That I was raised in many instances growing up. I grew up in Columbia, South Carolina. We were the last to take the Confederate flag down off of our state capitol.
Mm.
Um, Bree Newsom is my cousin, and to know that I was taught um, to fit in,
Mm.
to do the thing that was going to not make too much noise,
Yeah.
uh, to fall in line in a sense. And I'm having to dismantle that as an adult. I'm having to look back and look at the ways that I have prioritized kind of the everyone but myself. The ways that
Yeah.
in this moment, when you ask me how I am, I'm processing my own pain, seeing Black men. I think in some ways I've disconnected myself because it's too painful. I'm married to a Black man. I have three brothers. I don't think I've let myself feel the fear because I didn't want to. And in the moment, it's like there's space for all of our pain, you know?
Yeah. The
Yeah.
pain is valid. Yeah, it was
Someone
a
says, someone just said, I don't mean to be rude, but please don't pretend Americans are the freedom fighters of the world. Oh, my love, I would never. I would never. We are some of the biggest terrorists there are, and I'm aware of that. Truly, like as a country, we are arrogant. We are bold, and we think that everything is about us, and it's not. So
yeah.
that that is also part of the problem. Is that this is this is not some of not just what's happening with racism in our country, but just in general. When you look at the numbers of the pandemic, when you look at how we've prioritized getting back to work before we've prioritized making sure that people are healthy, when we've you
Yeah.
know we literally prioritize paper over people in our country, and we want to build walls instead of bridges. So anybody who's here representing the international community, do not think for one second that I'm not aware of where I live. I'm grateful and appreciative for the idea of the freedoms, and I'm grateful for the ones that we do have, because I have been to many developing countries. You guys who don't know me, some of you might recognize my face because I was in High School Musical. I was also the United Nations Youth Champion for the International Year of Youth. I've individually, along with my husband, traveled to over 40 countries. 25 of those countries were in a 6-month time frame, specifically to understand what young people experience and face globally. So it's not lost on me who and how we play big in the world. However, every single person deserves equity. Every single person deserves for their voice to be heard. No person deserves to die senselessly because of the color of their skin or because of their belief or their orientation. And it's time for us to stand up for everybody. And in these, exactly, Vanessa Black, our dear, you know,
Yeah.
yeah. And someone else is saying, thank you so much for this. Allie Kelly says, I've been fighting the same guilt. This conversation is so important. Thank you.
Oh, yay.
Yeah,
I'm
you guys, please share, this is this is a this is an opportunity that just literally came because we were having a genuine conversation.
literally, I was like, Vanessa was like, you need to talk to my friend Mo. And I was just like near on the verge of tears all morning. And the second we went on to FaceTime, like Mo was like, how are you? And I
Yeah.
just fucking lost it.
Yeah. I said, how's your heart? Yeah. And it troubles me for entire populations and entire races of people to feel at this moment that the state of your heart doesn't matter, because I don't believe that to be true. I believe that every person's voice does matter. I believe everyone's opinion and perspective matters, because without that, how are you can't be shamed into progress.
Mm,
We shouldn't be.
yeah.
We should check ourselves. We should stop, and when someone says something in our families, we should that's where our bravery needs to be. Our bravery needs to be around the kitchen table right now. That it's not just about being brave on the front lines and being willing to be hit by a cop in order to show your strength and your power in the movement. The real bravery is standing up to your grandparents.
Wow.
That's real bravery. The real bravery is when someone says something or tells you that you don't deserve to have a voice, then asking, then how do you expect me to use it to make a difference? That's really brave.
Wow.
If I'm not allowed to have a voice, I'm allowed to have an opinion, I can't cry for you, then what am I here for? What do you need an ally for if my tears aren't valid?
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, it did. Yeah.
I mean,
I felt like,
but we out here.
yeah.
We out here, right? We out
Yeah.
here, and like,
Yeah. And we feeling it all.
and we're
All of it.
feeling it all.
Yeah.
We are feeling it all, and look to the people whose shoulders we stand on. Um, we have to. Oh, yeah, and Vanessa's asking about the limitation of social media. The movement is not happening online, guys. This is how we are spreading the information about the movement.
Mm, that's a really
So,
beautiful.
our activism needs to be more active than our fingers.
Mm,
Like this is more than typing and posting and picking the right picture and filter, and our brands and people caring about their livelihood in this moment is not invalid. It
yeah.
is not invalid when I look and I see out of my actual window and I'm watching people boarding up their businesses. These are real people who spent their lives to have a business, and they have a right to be hurt in this moment. And you can feel both things at the same time. You can feel genuinely devastated about what is happening in our country, and at the same time want to protect the business that you built that wants to serve the people, or just be a business. That is, they're not mutually exclusive. That it should not be that, oh, because this has been happening now, I don't care about anything or anyone. These are our communities. I literally watched buildings in my community be vandalized, and people do not mistake that these protests were very peaceful, and watched the I watched it turn, and I watched, and you cannot think that there's not an agenda, and that there are not people that want this to happen, that want to see people, that want it to be the fault of the very people that have been oppressed for so long. How hard is it to pay someone a few $100 to come in and tag some buildings and vandalize? These are some of my favorite places. Some of my favorite memories in Los Angeles happened between those streets and those corners. And I literally.
It's scary. It's, I mean, just even seeing like how like Melrose and that's when I started to really be like, I don't, I understand taking a stand, but when it comes to like hurting mom and pop stores, like that hurts, to see that, because I'm like,
Yeah,
but they're, like we support, like we stand
right.
for.
And I really, I will stand firm in saying that I do not believe that that is the sentiment of the movement, even slightly. I really believe with every part of me that people are infiltrating and people are capitalizing on this moment. Why would you call ICE?
Yeah.
Why would you call ICE if you were not capitalizing on this moment? Why would you not literally intend to pick up undocumented people in this moment? Why would you choose this moment to call? Why would you choose at the end, when it's dispersing, to have hundreds of police officers? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just a lot going on, and I think we have to pause and do what I'm going to ask you to do again. Breathe. Exclamation points about who and what it is. And I'm going to go so far as to say that I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know who it is. I don't know what it is. I don't know what to do. And that is okay. It is okay to not know what to do today, right now, in this moment. What I do is I have my Pooh, because Pooh Bear is my favorite. Pooh, I love Pooh. So I stick Pooh down my shirt every day. And Pooh and I do everything together because I need some comfort and security. That's it, And so if you need to keep a stuffed animal under your shirt because you need a hug, if you need to hug yourself right now, whatever you need to do, to take care of your soul, because this did not start days ago. This did not start this week. This has been going on for decades. We're literally just picking up the baton. And we also, I think it's also important inside of this to recognize even the micro versions of progress. We would not, we are the answer. We are the realization of Martin Luther King's dream. Our ability to have this conversation is progress. And we have to read out the ignorance. We have to weed out. There's somebody here that was feeling the amount and feeling. And now, and
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that we are complacent and that we just sit in it and we don't like take any action, but direction is more important than speed. That is my message to everyone here. People are asking, I guess new people are coming on. We are having a conversation, mass moment of where just people have responded, and there were peaceful protests that have been infiltrated with violence. And we are just having an open conversation. That is what we're doing here. And direction is more important than speed. Most of us are going really fast, but we don't know where we're going.
Yeah. But I'm gonna get
I
there
don't want
first.
to.
Like, it's so
I
weird.
don't want to follow somebody. I don't want to. I'm not in the let's jump how high. Like, I don't want to run with you if I don't know which direction that we're going in, because we literally could be running right into a trap. So I want to, for anyone, say, I'm just reading what people are saying and just allowing space for everyone to have their feelings act on. That is what needs to be questioned and judged, because certain things are truly not okay. But if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I don't believe that Martin Luther King is turning in his grave at all. I think he's waiting for some of us to find our true voice. I think he left us a roadmap and speeches, and I don't think that, I know that none of my friends were, and my friends were on the front lines, and I know that not one of my friends was inciting violence. I watched them yell at people that were not black or brown, tagging BLM on, and that's permanent. And then that's the narrative, and we have the opportunity to rewrite that narrative. Mm-hmm. And to say, no, that's not true. I had footage. I started screen recording in case somebody needed me. Mm-hmm. You know, and also, unless you've watched every speech, because there are a lot of words that were said before us that we can look to. Until you, I can't say what anyone would or would not agree with or desire in this moment. Yeah. I know that for myself, I don't advocate violence, but I also don't advocate silence either. So I can only do my part, which is to facilitate and to help have conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I felt that. I was like, silence is not the answer here, because I had some friends come on and tell me and be like, Alexis, just like be a platform and just put everyone else's words as well. And I was like, yeah, flashlight, like guiding people to like other voices, and like, how can I say that? But then also like speak from my heart, because speaking from our hearts, like, we'll never regret speaking from our hearts. I firmly believe that. But then it's scary. I feel like I'm walking a tightrope. I feel like a lot of people are.
Well, we are, and we're exposed, right? Like, that's what I was terrified to come and to actually have my face connected to the words that I'm saying. But it was the brave choice. And we have someone here saying multiple of these exact same incidents happen to Muslims that are innocent, but this happens to one black man, and the whole world starts a movement against this. That doesn't make sense. And I just want to bring that to the light say, first, it's not one black man, just FYI. It's been happening for decades, and it's uh, it's see it more. And I want to say that I'm with you and I stand with you. I absolutely think that it is disgusting how our country has responded to people that are Muslim. I think it is disgusting how our country lumps people in and perceives people with ugly names like terrorists and so forth. So again, I'm with you and I agree. I simply see that this moment, this is where our attention is, and this is where people have mobilized and are the loudest. However, that does not discredit or invalidate your experience and your feelings as well. And I'm with you. And when the man that is currently in the White House is saying that there needs to be walls built or that people should be banned, I am 1,000% against that, and I will stand with you happening in this moment. And if we do not address and deal with where we are in this moment, starting with our, we just keep throwing ourselves in front of these situations without processing who we are. Everybody's not a fighter. We fight differently. There are so many ways. There's so many ways that we can fight, and social media is so limited. You are literally reducing people to 140 characters. You're reducing them to the way that you communicate. That is unacceptable. That is not fair. It's not fair for someone to look and judge and say you're not moving fast enough because I'm in pain. It is time to take an action. It is time, but you don't know what actions I'm taking. I wake up every single day and devote my life to giving back every day. Yesterday, I took a day off because other people finally showed up. Every time I stand on the We Day stage, every time I advocate for Thirst Project, every time I show up for She's the First and for Girl Up and for all the organizations that I've been supporting for all of these years, for the last 15 years, since I took my cap off and did that last jump in High School Musical, I have devoted my life to giving my platform to young people to have a voice. So me taking a day off to actually process what is actually going on, I don't deserve, nor do you or any other person deserve to be judged in this moment when we're trying to figure out actual actionable steps. And social media is limited. This is what it's for. This is what it's for. Let's have a conversation. Let's go on and have a conversation. Let's hold space for people. Let's share what we know. Let's mobilize when we are. Let's pass the petition. Let's pass the phone number that we can actually call, but then don't pass the number and then not and call the number. Call the number, guys. Okay? Like, it's not enough to just share the information. If you actually shared it in your email, you might actually get further. If you texted it to the people that you knew and said, hey, this is what you need to do, press this button, and you being able to impact a few actual people.
So true.
Versus reaching or making a splash to the thousands or millions of people that show up who aren't actually doing anything. We have to remember what's real right now and what's important. And again, I cannot advocate enough for people that are here in the States right now and those who view around the world that a lot of us as artists are empaths, but we have the right to protect our energy in this moment so that we can be clear on what actions need to be taken.
That hits home.
We have to.
Yeah.
You have that right, sweet girl. You have that right. You deserve that. You deserve the peace that is needed. We have to operate from our overflow. We're not in overflow right now. I'm in distress. I got a teddy bear down my shirt. I'm in distress. Okay? Like, I'm not in a position to help anybody. like, I can't help you. I don't know. I know. I can't help anybody until I can help myself in this moment. And to really take that time and not split your energy.
Yeah.
Take that bath. Take that bath and just meditate, self-care, eat nutritious, healthy food. That's what I was thinking about. I was like, did everybody eat? You know, like make sure that you're eating, make sure that you're taking care of your actual self, so that you can handle the daggers that are going to come at you by using your platform.
Yeah. Amen to that. This came to mind because my sister was watching like a little bit of an argument go down. Like, what's your opinion on the argument between the All Lives Matter and the Black Lives Matter? Like, it's been a weird conversation that a lot of people have been very pressed on.
Yeah.
Use the word.
Yeah, I think, to me, I understand the sentiment. I
Yeah.
understand the sentiment of All Lives Matter. I feel that in this moment, it is more about the statement that you're making by being unwilling to say that Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
And I think that's the issue for me, that I see. I live outside the box. I live outside the fray. I'm not as easily offended, to be honest. I'm not because I truly believe in diplomacy and desire for us to move forward. I lead with empathy. I lead with empathy and compassion. And when people lack understanding, I aim to educate and to create a space where you cannot know. And so, for me, I am not individually. However, I do understand. And in this moment, I think that it's more about, it feels like an affront to not be willing to say that Black Lives Matter, because inside of, that's why I can stop and say yes to my Muslim brother or sister who took the time to say, hey, you guys are over here crying, you know what's been happening to us. And I'm like, you know what, I probably don't, and I probably should, and your life matters too. And
Yeah.
if you need me to stand next to you and say Muslim lives matter and trans lives matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was that's another thing, like with me and Vanessa, like, we're working so hard in the environmental space, and we were so excited for it, and I was so excited for it, and then this hit, and I disregarded it instantly, like the work that I'm doing in another category. And like,
Right.
I think that's, if I felt that, I'm assuming that there's a collective that also feels like, fuck, I had my attention on this problem on the world, and now this is happening, and I need to be that. And it's just like, and then you start to like try and intake all the information within a day in order to keep up with the world, and then it's just it almost is a form of self-disregard and self-destruction, because
Yeah.
you're invalidating the work that you've done in the place that breaks your heart.
Yeah, and it's actually destructive, and it's divisive. It's internally divisive,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I get so distracted because of my emotions, which are valid, I'm going to keep saying it, everything we're feeling is valid.
Mm-hmm.
However, when it becomes debilitating, that's when it's a problem. When I no longer can show up for the things that are happening in life that can move the needle forward, I can't. I mean, I can go buy some paint and paint over all the destruction, but like, is that the best use of my time and energy? Was it the best use of my time and energy for me to be there when that's covered? When I need to be thinking about what images are being disseminated? How are people between under the age of 16 years old processing this? How are children processing this? What is going, like, who is actually taking the time to care for them and their hearts? What is going on in education? Can we defund the police? Is that actually a real thing? What
Yeah.
would the alternative really appreciate about my husband is that he's always very solution driven, and is like, while everybody's looking at the problem, someone needs to be looking at the solution. And I like to think of it like climbing a tall mountain. You know, we admire the person who climbs the mountain, who made it to the top, but we don't realize that they had a guide, or they had someone who was there to do first aid. Someone has to be at base camp. Someone has to make sure that you have the map and that you know which way you're going. There's a role for everyone. And just because your role may not be as vocal or as loud or even directly correlating to it, at the end of the day, no lives matter if there's no planet to live on, really.
Like, I was like, the planet will always be here, but we won't if we.
Yeah. So like, like we actually need to address these things, but also put them into context of the wider world, and to not lose our minds in the process as we are taking those steps forward, because there is actually still a pandemic happening outside.
I know, it's crazy. I was like, wait, so was that just like disregarded? I was like, this is like, it's a to see everyone with their masks on while they're with hundreds of thousands of people.
Right.
It's such a weird. I mean, this is history in the making, to be honest, and you see it right now. It's just it's learning how to be the observer and then also feeling it as well, but then maintaining your inner peace and then looking for a call to action. And there's so many components to keep yourself at a certain vibration, so that, like, I was talking to my god sister and I was like, I should just fly to LA. Like, I should just go and like be a part of this. And she was like, is it more helpful for you to like stay at this vibration and then find like solution oriented things, or should you go down to the problem and just react and be in that traumatized state? Like, what is more beneficial for the planet? And like, of course my ego, a good realization to look at it from the perspective of like, if we're maintaining peace in ourselves, then like we'll be open to receiving solutions as opposed to just how can we react to this as quickly as possible so we're making a statement.
Exactly. And so we don't feel left out.
Yeah.
I was embarrassed. I was like, I knew that it wasn't the best place for me. I knew that it wasn't where I genuinely would be best served. That level of like my nervous system just like firing off, and the anger that I have, that much rage being expressed in that way wouldn't be helpful. Like, that's not necessary right now. I need to save that, and I need to write that, and then when given the moment and given the microphone and the opportunity, that is when all that rage has a place. That rage didn't have a place in front of those cops that were just literally going to bruise me and I can't dance this week. That's not for me. But is there rage that's building up inside of me that has a home and is going to be directed in places when I can thoughtfully craft the message and I have the information that I need? 1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%. And we have to be heroic in our patience.
That's such a beautiful statement.
We have to be heroic in our patience. We have to be heroic in letting people not like us. I mean, you've got trolls on here right now, and I'm it's taking every effort for me not to call them out because I don't want to towards it. But like, it's like, welcome trolls. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for seeing this powerful conversation and realizing that your only place inside of it is to try to tear it down. Wow. Okay. Good on you. Yeah. Well done. Well played. You keep playing your role and I'll keep playing mine. Like that is the purpose, right? The purpose is to incite, and even this is an exact example of that. Like, here we are, two people coming together from two different generations who both have platforms to say, I just want to have a conversation because I'm hurting.
Yeah.
And then there are people that are coming on and have an opinion about how we hurt. You know what? You don't have to stay. Also speaks to something that Vanessa brought up earlier, which is about social media. This is a limited platform, guys. This is not a space that can hold us. There are people here that want to incite negativity. And I know that there are people of a lot of different religious backgrounds or no religion, people who believe in God, don't believe in God, whatever the case may be. If you believe in energy, if you believe in science, if you believe in God, whatever it is, I think that if there were an adversary, if there were a resistance of some sort, I know I would try to distract you.
Yeah.
I know I would try to make the youth champion show her ass in public. I know that's what I would try to do. I would try to show that our peacemakers aren't really that peaceful, and that the things that we really care about we're not really doing. I would try to cripple you at the point of your progress. I would look at the things that you were doing, and I would want you to be so riddled and so distracted by something that you literally can't do anything about in this moment, except for thing that can be done in that moment. Yeah. Oh my God, my girls. Vanessa said we can't heal the world if we're not healed.
Yeah. True that.
True. We can't. This is where it needed to start. It always needed to start with ourselves and within. And I want to share a quote actually that I think is beautiful for everyone. It's a Chinese proverb, and it says, "When there's light in the soul, there's beauty in the person. When there's beauty in the person, there's harmony in the house. When there's harmony in the house, there's order in the nation. When there's order in the nation, there's peace in the world."
Yeah.
But that's the point, is like, when there's light in the soul, there's beauty in the person.
Yeah.
It starts there.
Yeah.
Period. So for those of us that are in America right now, watching many of our cities like have this upheaval and this critical moment, for those of you who are around the world who are shaking your heads at America and just confused as to like where and what we are.
Yeah.
We are too.
Yeah.
And we are in a shared moment of grief and pain and struggle and opportunity. And what we do in this moment matters. So I will say it again. We do not want to move quickly in the wrong direction. Direction is more important than speed. One step in the right direction, which I believe this conversation is one step in the right direction, is more profound and more meaningful than 1,000 bottles thrown, than 1,000 words said that fall on deaf ears. Those of you who are still with us, those of you who are still here, we see you, we honor you, we respect you, and we're grateful for you. And I hope that if you were feeling a deep sense of loss and hopelessness, that in this moment you can at least just experience a moment of peace, a moment of being in the actual moment that we're in, a moment of safety, a breath, and know that you are just as powerful today as you were 2. Yeah.
This helped me so much. Thank
Oh,
you.
sweet girl. Yeah, your feelings. You were not given this many gajillions of people to follow you for no reason. You have a lot to say and you have a lot to do, and I'm watching you. I'm watching you unfold. We're in the cocoon right now, and it's painful in there. But when you emerge as who you truly are, which is so much more than a face, so much, God, you are so profound and beautiful. We can tell who people are by what they do, guys. So we as a society have to stop holding one another and limiting ourselves to these boxes. We're so much more than this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. I learned so much during this conversation. I was just like, I'm so happy that we have it saved because I'm going to save it and keep it. that they can watch, because this was really profound for me. So thank you. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
me as well. I haven't said anything because nobody asked. So
Yeah.
thank you, Vanessa, for calling me today, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that we had this chance. I wasn't going to put something up just to do it. It felt meaningless to me.
Yeah.
Um, it felt like perpetuating the exact same thing and leading by fear. Yeah.
Yeah. It really, yeah, there was a sense of fear this morning, and now I feel a sense of groundingness in it.
Yeah. And direction. And it's like, you guys, those of you who this isn't for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't. We all it, we all have a role to play, and we have to be clear on who we are before we know which position we're in.
Yeah.
And some of us are writers, some of us are speakers, some of us are listeners, some of us are just there to hold space for other people. Some of us are learning things for the very first time. Don't be shamed into speaking. Don't be bullied into taking action, and then, because to me that's going to cause resentment.
Yeah.
I think that's going to cause resentment and make things worse. So for this moment, if all you can do is just be and not make it worse, yeah, because everyone does count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So welcome.
Oh, this is so
Yeah.
wonderful.
Just watching the people respond, and yeah,
Yeah.
definitely save it because I want to share it as well. I think this
Yeah,
is
absolutely. I can send it in the group text.
awesome.
Yeah.
I want to do something with you. I'm just going to say a few affirmations.
Oh,
Just
I love
you
you.
need them. Yeah. So what we should do is we should say it in first person and then affirm it to the other person. So meaning I will say, I am enough. And then you would affirm it to me, like, Monique, you are enough. So I'm going to say it again.
Okay.
Ready? I am enough.
Monique, you are enough.
Your turn.
My feelings are valid.
Alexis, your feelings are so valid. Your feelings are valid. Your feelings are valid.
Oh,
My voice matters even when I don't know what to say.
oh yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Bless you, sweet girl. Take care of yourself. Everyone who's watching, all day, ask yourself, what do I need right now? What do I need right now? What do I need right now? Because until we take care of our own needs, we are a disservice, and we are all part of the problem. So, yeah. Oh, someone said you are brave. We are brave. This was a brave conversation. So
Thank
for
you.
everyone, for all 2,000 of you that stayed and were part of it, go be brave today, even if that means not getting out of bed, even if that means unplugging and not watching not watching social media and not watching the news just for a moment, that's big brave.